Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Well, it looks like that our neighbors a little to the south are having a difficult time. So we are led to believe. You've probably heard this too, is that Washington, D.C., our neighbors to the south, Washington, D.C. is a dysfunctional place. Washington, D.C. is not working. Washington, D.C. is full of insiders who serve their own interests. Those inside the Beltway, meaning that that's where the real problems in that place can be found, those are the ones who really can't be trusted. We are also told, apparently so, that this is the new normal. All this dysfunction that's happening with our neighbors down there, that change and improvement, we really can't expect much to be different. So then it's time to blow things up and start it all over again. So this narrative would have you believe that Washington, D.C. really is a dangerous place. Now, if Washington all of a sudden seems to be a dangerous place, okay, yeah, we get it. It's election season again. That's what everybody's saying about it. Why else would so many people, particularly Republicans, why would so many people want to be clamoring to get to such a dysfunctional place? Well, as a relative newcomer to this area, my experience of Washington, D.C. is very much at odds with that doom and gloom. It's amazing. It is just so full of history, and you can find beauty in the most unexpected places. And of course, it is the capital of the nation, and it's the residence of the President of the United States. It's also said, for instance, that the Library of Congress is the most ornate building in that whole city. If you haven't seen it, try to check it out. It's the most ornate building in the whole city. The buildings house art and government and information. It's stunning. You know what's well behind you. You can stand on, at a certain point, on what's called the National Mall, stand in virtually one place, and you can see the Capitol. You can see the Washington Monument. You can see the Lincoln and the Jefferson Memorial. And there are also, and again, what's called the National Mall, you can see people strolling and children running and people just simply having a good time. The Washington National Cathedral in that city is the Episcopal Cathedral of the Diocese of Washington, and also the Cathedral of the nation. It is a Gothic structure of epic beauty and size. So, D.C. gets the undeserved reputation of being dangerous because it is the nation's capital, and because the drama of politics and religion and ambition, that's where they symbolically come together. Which is exactly why Jesus laments over the city of Jerusalem. It too, Jerusalem is the epicenter of politics and religion and national identity, a volatile mix, as we know all too well. That's because the great temple of God is there. And not just there, but it's located on the highest point of the city. That place is believed to be no less than the home of God on this earth. Even more ominous, this national prominent city of Jerusalem has been invaded. It is now, in the time of Jesus, occupied by foreign aggressors. Jerusalem. Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets, and stones those are sent to it. Now, whether or not Jesus, who said this, whether or not Jesus is recognized as a prophet or not, Jesus knows that for him, the city of Jerusalem is a city of hope, it's also a city of despair, and it's also a city of deadline. The city that kills the prophets, he said. It kills the prophets. Well, what exactly is prophet? This person or persons that Jesus is referring to? Well, I can tell you that prophets believe themselves touched by God. Prophets, though, others would say, are also touched by insanity. But prophets have a high regard in the history and tradition of the Israelite people. Be a prophet. That is an audacious calling, because no one wants to be a prophet. And contrary to popular perception, prophets do not predict the future. They don't see what lies ahead. They do predict a future of blessing if the way of God is embraced. And prophets do predict disaster if we turn away from the way of God. But are prophets then, prophets in the prophetic role, are they just limited to history of the past or the biblical narrative? Well, I would say not. Some would say, for instance, that Martin Luther King is a prophet. He challenged, Martin Luther King Jr. challenged the prophets, the powers that be, and he suffered the prophet's fate, the city that killed the prophet. The fact that he was killed in Memphis rather than Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, makes no difference at all. Speaking the truth's power, as a prophet does, almost always has deadly consequences. So then, do people see Jesus as a prophet who is doomed to destruction? Well, yes, they do see him as being touched by God, but something more than a prophet in the conventional sense and understanding, because in Jesus, something more is here. And that's what makes Jesus dangerous. Wherever he goes, it seems, a little bit of trouble is stirred up. Something more is here. Something more than a prophet. Because Jesus' mission, in many ways, is to turn this world upside down and turn it more clearly to face God, to reorder the created universe. It is a mission, his mission, that causes fear. Fear to the insider, but delight to the outsider. So then, it is in this context that some Pharisees come to Jesus. Now remember, the Pharisees are a distinct religious group within the Jewish faith tradition. And it is with this group, the Pharisees, that Jesus often clashes with over the nature of religion and politics and God. And it's out of fear that the Pharisees say to Jesus, "Get out of here. Go away, leave." And then they say that Herod wants to kill you. Herod, of course, is the local king serving at the pleasure of the foreign occupiers. He's essentially a puppet king. And Jesus replies, he says, "I am performing cures today and tomorrow and the next day." In other words, he says, I will leave when it's time for me to leave. And I will go to Jerusalem when I want to go to Jerusalem. So yes, indeed, in this context, the Pharisees are acting out of fear. But not fear that Jesus is going to be harmed, but fear of their own way of life for themselves. See, Jesus is drawing too much attention to their world of religion and also attention to their world of captivity. Rome, the occupying force, could come crashing down on their facade of religious autonomy. And they say, Jesus, if you just go away, things just might be all right again. Jesus refuses to give in to that fear. And also Jesus refuses to abandon his mission. Refuses to be fearful, because fear, think about it for a minute. Fear is debilitating, emotionally and physically. We are paralyzed. And Jesus would say that fear also is ungodly, and that God did not create us to live in fear. Rather, God, though we were not created to live in fear, God did not promise us safety and security either. Jesus would see that all of us, and would have us all to be healed from debilitating fear, and at the same time not abandon the mission to which we've been called. Like Jesus, as people of faith, sometimes we're called to challenge the culture if it is perceived to be in the wrong. Like Jesus, we are also called to affirm the culture if we know it to be right. This is the collective, community, prophetic calling of our walking in the way of Jesus. Failure to claim our prophetic identity is to live into that fear. We have been created otherwise. So yes, institutional Washington, D.C., institutional Jerusalem, they share much in common. Here's what I mean. is that institutions and communities of faith, we sometimes are too timid to live into our mission. It's because that if we are afraid that if we say something one way or say something another way, that we might be seen as a group to be disagreeable or contentious or out of touch or worse. And then that's where fear comes in again. People either won't join with us or people will just go away. We are afraid that we will lose money, and we are afraid that we will lose members. My brothers and sisters, that is to be paralyzed by fear, to be paralyzed by inaction. So then, like Jesus, and what Jesus says to Herod, I would challenge us to give up fear. Do not live into that way of life. To give up fear and become the people, to become the body, and to become the community that God already sees us to be. The community that God needs us to be. Blessed are the ones, that's you. Blessed are the ones who come in the name of the Lord. In God's name. Stand at your table as we proclaim our faith together.
Your Judy Mahaffey, Jason Moore, Ray Powell, Harry Puck, Johnny Whitner, and for those we now name. In our extended parish family, we pray for Margaret Armstrong, Nina Ayres, Jerry Dunn, Tom English, Erica Helmick, Tom and Shirley Kilwan, David Mercy, Jim Owens, Henry Schneider, and those we now name. In our community at large, we pray for Wally Dang, Larson Holstitch, the McNew family, Dion Thompson, Church of the Holy Covenant, and for those we now name. God is our light and our salvation.
Whom then shall we fear?
Your love extends to the ends of the earth. We give you thanks, especially for those we now name.
Charles Mahaffey.
God is our light and our salvation.
Whom then shall we fear?
Your resurrection power brings hope to the living and new life to the dead. Remember especially Danny McNew and those we now name. God is our light and our salvation.
Whom then shall we fear?
Your mysterious and powerful presence is with us, O Holy One. As the sun goes down and we are in deep sleep, when deep and terrifying darkness descends upon us, your covenant promise is then renewed. Let your Spirit be with your children in all times of trial, that our hearts may rest in you and not be afraid. Through Jesus Christ, our Savior.
Amen.
God, our healer, whose